Hello and welcome. I'm Helen Cummins and this is Mallorca Living, a space dedicated to those who are dreaming of making Mallorca their home. Today I'm here with Katja Lebelt. We're going to speak about her journey from Germany to Mallorca. You're very welcome, Katja. Thank you very much for being here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Good.
That's
good.
Amazing and great what you're doing here.
Thank you, thank you. So we've met actually in person at our business lunch, was our first meeting. But I'd love to find out more about your journey from Germany to Mallorca. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came to live here?
Yeah, it was a long journey because formerly I was living in Berlin and I was working as a costume and stage designer, and I was working a lot. So some years I did like 11 productions a year, which is means to be always traveling, bam, bam, bam. And then a friend of mine said, you have to do some vacations. I booked something. And she booked Mallorca. And I said, no, don't let's go there.
And had you been to Mallorca at that point?
Never. Never. It was just the image. I said no.
And what image did Mallorca have for you?
In Germany, you
point?
have the image that's overcrowded, that's only like Arenal, and this is it's not a good image in most newspapers and everything. And then she booked and said, you go there and you will see. And I came. And I was completely in love.
When was that? What year was that?
It was, I think, 2003. It's a long time. That's what I said. It's a long journey. And we were here near Alcudia, in between Alcudia and Muro. There was a ranch and they had horses because I was already playing polo. And so it was a friend of the horses part. And so it was, I think, in April. And it was fantastic, the colors, the tramontana. I didn't expect that. And I was completely like taking drugs because I was so in love with the island. And
it was love at first sight.
It was like and during this time I did a lot of yoga sessions, and always when we did the relax at the end, there was the tramontana in my head. Wow. And I was just focused on this island. And then afterwards, I came several times just to visit it. Yes, and then there was the first time that somebody asked me to come here permanently with the horses. But at this time, I was very, very focused on doing stage and costume design, and I didn't do it.
So the horses, it was a hobby of yours?
Yes.
It wasn't where you generated your income. Your income came from your stage production.
Yes. And so, and the one, there was a guy near Monaco, and he had a big horse breed. And he said, yes, come over and we do it together with the polo thing. And I said, no, I'm focusing on the theater. But then I think 15 years after, with my husband together, we were again thinking about what could we do for having some holidays from our job. He's a vet. He's a veterinarian for horses. Okay. And at this time we had a stud farm in Germany near Berlin. And we had 24 hectares of land, so an agricultural farm. But again, there were not really holidays. And so that was the point where we said, where do you want to buy a house? Which is the place? And we said, if this is the point where your heart is, it has to be Mallorca. And then we said first, no, we cannot just buy a house in Mallorca. That's not possible. And after like 3 months, we did it.
You did it?
Yes.
So how was that process for you? How did you?
I think it was follow your heart, you know? Yeah. This is the point, because it was like, it felt for me like you can't, if you want to be rational, we had a little son and we said, where has he go to school? And so we should have bought something in Berlin. If you just think about how your life goes, like very straightforward. But the heart was not there. So we decided to buy the house in Mallorca. And that started the process of thinking of, we didn't think about moving here permanently. It was just a house for vacations first. Okay. And then some years later, our son had to go to school and we had to make a decision, because then you cannot travel on, off. And we looked to different schools, and we went to the Montessori School of Mallorca in Santa Maria. And the director of the school said to us, yeah, come on, your son is 7. He doesn't speak English, he doesn't speak Spanish, he doesn't speak Catalan, only German. He shall change the land, he shall go to school, and he shall go to a school which is not German speaking. So perhaps give him a little time before you do this and come now, because the school started in September. So we were sitting in this office, I will never forget this, and she said it was March. You have to come now to give him the time. Oh. And we had this big farm in Germany, and we said, okay, what's going on? And we did it. We just, moved on and off. One of us was always here, and we did the move to Mallorca.
Oh, congratulations! That was amazing. So when was that? What year was that?
This was 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So congratulations. That was a big move, a big brave step.
Yeah.
I always say that the people who actually move to a foreign land, it is a very courageous move, because many people dream of it. But in actual fact, not so many people do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was also the reaction of our friends, They were just like, what? You are moving to Spain? What the hell is going on? They thought they have lost us forever, but now step by step they visited us and they see, oh, this is super nice, and so we are not lost. We are just connected to our friends, and it's another life. But it's one advantage of Mallorca, that you are very well connected to the rest of the world.
Very well, yeah. There's a great infrastructure for maintaining your flights. Can I ask you then, what part of Mallorca did you choose to make your home here on the island?
We are living actually in Sencelles. And at the beginning, when we were starting looking for the house, we dreamed of a house in the Tramontana.
And just to say to listeners who may not know Sencelles is more or less in the middle of the island, in the center.
Absolutely.
But do you have views of the Tramontana from?
Yes, we have the total panorama of the Tramontana
which is beautiful.
This is super beautiful. But a cousin of my husband lived at this point 25 years here on the island. And she said to us, if you have a son going to school, if you want to go to Palma because you are a theater girl, so you want to connect to the cultural part, and you're living somewhere up in the mountains, and every time you have to go down, I would prefer to go to the middle of the island, because you are quickly at the airport, you're quickly in Palma, you're quickly in the mountains, you're quickly at the sea, and the life is always the same. It's not like in summer it's completely overcrowded, and in winter everything is closed. We have a very normal life in Sencelles and Inca, and I love this. It's
very integrated with the local community.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what we loved, and I'm very happy about this, that we have chosen this place, because we feel that we are in the middle of the country, really on the countryside, but we are quickly in the cities, and so we have everything we want, and we have this great view of the Tramontana, so we can always go there if we want.
Yes, and sometimes it's nicer to have the view than actually to be right there.
Yeah.
And at the time you bought your vacation home, were you planning to put horses there and to build up what's now actually evolved?
No, it wasn't the plan. That's why we have chosen a part of a very old possession at this time, where were no trees, no garden. There's just a porch and the pool, because we had the big farm in Germany. So we thought, no, let's just buy something where we relax and don't have to do gardening again or something. No animals, nothing. And then at the point when we decided that we want to move permanently, we had the problem that we had the horses, so they couldn't live in this little Porsche, and so we were starting looking for another plot to bring the horses. But it wasn't planned from the beginning. It was just a process.
So you bought more land than around the... No, or did you?
No, directly, it's 5 minutes away. So directly there was nothing to buy, but the plot where is now Can Cavall Blau, it's 5 minutes from our home where we are still living. And so we bought it. And also this was not the plan to install all the things we are doing now. It was just for the horses, because it's 4 hectares. And it has a well, so it has a lot of water, and it has the water rights, which is super important to prove. and it has a lot of old oak trees, so we have shadow. So that were the most important points for the horses to buy the farm. And all what followed was a process. It wasn't planned.
So tell us all that followed. Tell me, explain what has evolved into Can Cavall Blau to the, what it is today. Because what you've built up is really significant.
Yeah, it was, we started with the horses, and then we
and these are polo horses.
These are polo horses, and we had already a polo horse breed in Germany. We were breeding. We brought a stallion as well. It's the same stallion we had in Germany. So all the horses which we have on the farm, it's our own breed. They're all raised up in our farm, and they are all one family. So they know each other from the beginning. And now we have the first foal which is born in Mallorca. She's called Catalina because it's a very Mallorquin name. So we thought and she's 2 weeks old now.
Yeah.
So.
And what is the polo scene here in Mallorca?
The polo scene is a little bit tricky because it's very private. It's not very open. And we also in Germany had a polo pitch, and we always said we are playing grassroots polo. So we are playing polo like you do it in Argentina and the campos. So it's very family based. It's very rural. It's very natural. We are playing on arena here on sand because we think it's a very sustainable way to play here, not on the grass, but on sand. And it's very fun for the audience as well, because you can see the horses and you can see the ball. When you watch polo on the big field, you're always like, where are they? Over there. And sometimes.
So is it smaller?
It's smaller.
Smaller sand.
Yeah, much smaller. It's 90 to 45, and the grass is 300 to 200, so it's much bigger.
Yeah. I have been at a polo match here in Mallorca on a green field, and it was spectacular. It was just amazing.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
But it's like what you say, it's kind of tends to be more a private events. Why is that?
Yeah, because it's it's a sport where I don't know. There's a lot of I don't know how to describe it. Some people think if you want to start polo, you have first to buy 4 horses and then you can start. But this is not true. You can play polo with 1 horse, and sometimes it's a bit like a closed shop. Like the people are very they're playing, and there's only tournaments who are open for the people, and tournaments actually are not taking place in Mallorca. So or only on the private form, and so I think it's not open for people, but there's something like, can we go there? It's very exclusive, and that's what we want to open. Say, no, come on, every Sunday we are playing. Let's have a look to the horses. Let's have a look to the training, and so.
So you do this event every Sunday?
Yes, every Sunday we are training the horses, and we're doing Amaro hour, where we open our little tiny tasting bar, and the people can try our wines and try our Amaro, our aperitif.
Do they pay to go there?
No. You just have to do a reservation, because we have not so many parking spots. Okay. So that's why we really ask to do a reservation.
And what time is it at?
We open at 6 now in summer, and in winter we open earlier, like at 3, at 4. It depends on the temperatures, but now when it's so hot, nobody comes earlier. So.
People can maybe register on your website. How do they find out?
Yeah. They can, on the website you can find the link. There's a page for tastings, and then you can see Amaro hour or the other things you can do, and then you do a reservation very quickly, and then you can come, and then we present our products, all the things we are doing, and you can have a look.
So I want to talk to you about that. But before, I want to ask you, who is actually playing the polo?
It's friends,
and how many are on each team?
In the arena we are playing 2-2, so it's only 4 horses in the arena, and sometimes an umpire, so that's 5. You can also play 3-3 in the arena, but it's the maximum. On grass you play 4-4, so you have always 8 horses, because it's much bigger. And the people who are playing are all living here on the island, having their own horses, or or they're riding our horses, or they're bringing their horses, and they're from everywhere. They're from Spain, they're from the Netherlands, they're from England, but they're all living here. You know, we are not.
And is it a tight community between the polo players and the polo community here in Mallorca?
What we are creating, and I think this is a big step, and it's a very important step, is that we are creating something which is connected to the horse community, because there's a lot of horse people on the island, for jumping, for dressage, for trotting. So there's a lot of interest in good breeders, you know, and so we want to connect these people with.
So it's like horse community rather than exclusively polo.
Yes. Yeah, okay. That's what we want to focus on. That's what's happening. So they're coming people who are riding other styles of riding, and they try polo, and that's amazing. So because the thing with polo, which is different to all the other sports with horses, is that you are playing in a group, you are in a team, you know, you cannot play alone. So it's a sport where you communicate with other teammates and you play together. So it's a lot of fun. And so other people from other horse sports, they like to try it, because if you are a good rider, you can, it's just a play with the horses, you know. And so that's a lot of fun.
Super. So these events, how long? What's the duration usually?
Normally, it takes like till 10 or something, you know, because then it's getting dark. Now it's the summertime.
So kind of from 6 until 10.
Yeah, that's normal. So
but people can go along at whatever time suits, and then so what they can expect is like some polo, some games, and then some tasting of the products. So tell me about farm life and how the products that you are now offering have evolved.
Yeah, it was this was a journey. You know, we arrived and this finca was abandoned. So there was nothing, there was like some
And you bought it rather than rented?
We bought it. And then we checked what is there. And there were some old Nispero trees of this very special fruit from the island. And there were old bitter orange trees. And we said, what are we going to do with bitter oranges? There's this jam, you know, you can do, but we were thinking of, shall we do a lot of jam and then start?
And did you have a lot of these bitter?
Yeah, there were already, I think there were 8, 10, so it's a lot. And they are big, they are old. And then we tried to figure out what we can do else. And we developed a recipe for an aperitivo. During 3 years, every friend of us had to try this one, and we tried it with grapefruit and mandarinas and everything, and then finally the bitter oranges made it, different varieties from the farm. And then we were looking who can produce it with us together, because you cannot do it in your home kitchen for sure.
And what are the ingredients of more or less, just what it is?
More or less, it's the pure fruit and some alcohol and sugar. So there's no additivos, it's not filtered, it's very pure. You know, it's the fruits, and the fruits have to be good. And it's different ones. Sometimes they are more sweet, and there's little ones who have a different taste. So it's the mixture of different varieties.
So is it always going to taste different then for each year? Or?
Yes, a little bit, because you know we can only, like a wine, we harvest it once a year and then it's done. So then it's the Amaro year 24, which is now sold out, you know, and we're waiting for the bottling of 25.
So how many bottles are you producing now?
Now it's 3,000. It's still very small, you know, but it's increasing, and that's the idea, that we planted more bitter orange trees. So we are, you know, developing a little bit.
Great. And how do you drink it? Do you just put it with ice, or how do you recommend enjoy it?
Yeah, it's different options. You know, just on the rocks with ice, that's super fine. It's my favorite. But also you can mix it with cava and a little bit of soda or something. But there's on our website you can find a lot of recipes, because we have the Amaro in different bars. Here in Mallorca, in Germany, but also in Napa Valley in California.
I know, you told me this. You got a distributor to bring it into the US. I mean, this is a massive accomplishment.
Yeah,
congratulations.
It's amazing. We are over all the US you can buy it, which is super special.
This is amazing. So we have a lot of American tourists coming here now. So if they enjoy the aperitif here, they can enjoy it in America also when they go home. This is beautiful.
Yeah. We had somebody from New York just writing us. Oh, I tasted it in Mallorca and I love it so much. Can I get it? I said, yes, you can.
Super.
So that's amazing. So so the different bars, they invented recipes and they are all on our webpage. So you can see what you can do: a breakfast martini. You can.
So they offered like kind of like a cocktail almost, is it?
Yeah, so there's different.
So if somebody wants to try it, they go in and ask for Amaro.
Yes.
Okay, and Amaro is bitter, right? Isn't it in Spanish? It's
Amaro. Yeah. So that's the story was a little bit that we wanted to do an apero, which is something in Swiss and France. You like a tapas, like a vermouth time. A little apero is very common there. And the apero has an accent on the E. And then we talked about this and made some samples. And then everybody said, yeah, but this is Aperol. And we didn't think about this. We just thought about the French thing. And so we did a combination of amargo and this accent of the apero, which is still there in Amajero. And so this word is not existing, but it's the name
but
of
it's very nice because when you search it online, actually your drink comes up, which I thought this is great. But you see that it comes from this verb of it's bitter.
Yeah.
Great.
So and that's what. So that was the story of Amajero. So and there were we made now a jam of the nísperos because there was also these trees, and then we went further, realizing that the grass for the horses doesn't grow here like in Germany or in Britain.
With the climate.
So we had this big, huge field for them, and there was 2 weeks of grass, and the rest of the year it was stony, and this was a former vineyard. And we thought, okay, this doesn't make sense to grow grass on this for the horses, so why not planting a little vineyard? So that was the next step we did. And then we planted some olive trees and some almonds. So finally we planted about 400 trees at the farm in different varieties, so that it's not a monoculture. It's everywhere. Every time is something flowering and different fruit trees. And so the whole farm is a little bit like a big garden, you have like...
Sounds amazing. And can people visit? So they can visit on this day of the open event, which is really nice, which is a Sunday. I would love to ask you to do a favor for me. Mallorca Living is a video podcast dedicated to those who are dreaming of making a life for themselves here on Mallorca. This is a very personal project for me where I get to share with you wonderful stories about people who have actually made the transition to Mallorca. I would love to ask you to subscribe to this channel because it helps the channel grow and it makes sure that we continue to grow and prosper and reach as many people as possible who are interested in making Mallorca their home. Thank you so much for subscribing and liking and sharing your comments. We love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. Thank you so much.
Yes, but also we invented, very new, the open farm tour, which is Wednesdays. Because so we had the experience that on Sundays with Polo and the bar, there's a lot of people and there's not time to explain all the products always with everything behind. And so we invented the open farm tour, which is Wednesdays. And then we are doing a tour with the people. So they start there's a little house, a little casita, and then we go to the níspero trees, and then everywhere where the trees are or the fruits are, they can try the products which are from these trees. And then they get the explanation. And so they go through all the farm, through the horses, to the olives. It's only 4 hectares. It's not like a huge farm, but you have like a little walk, and you get everything about the grapes, about, and so you have a very, very good explanation about all the different products of the pomegranate trees and the vinegar for that. So it's,
So it's really become like a production farm, with all the fruits you're doing and the different products.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is perhaps that we are not focusing on one. We are not having only olives, only wine, so we're having all these different varieties. So the production is, we are collaborating with the bodega for the wine, with the distillery for the aperitif, with APAEMA, which is the Association of the Ecologic Farmers of Mallorca, for the jam and for the vinegar. So because you cannot build a building for every little production. And I think this is a very nice way of producing, to collaborate, because collaboration for me is the word which makes also the business interesting, you know.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, well, congratulations. It sounds amazing. What I'm fascinated, you moved from, you know, stage production, right, to now having a farm here in Mallorca, where it sounds like you're bringing on so many things to life and even creating new products that didn't exist before.
yeah.
Do you sometimes stop and pinch yourself and say, how did all this happen?
Yeah, sometimes you're like, wow, it's going so fast, and you know, and also it's a lot of work, you know. The thing is, it sounds super amazing with all these different varieties, but in reality, it's that every tree, every plant has its own problems, its own rhythm, how you have to work with it.
Take care of it.
Take care of it.
And learning. There must be a massive learning curve.
Absolutely.
With understanding all these things and knowing how to maximize your harvest and everything.
Absolutely. It helps that we had an agricultural farm in Germany before, with the horses and the land, but we only produced our hay. So we didn't have wine and all these things. So it's a lot of learning, as you said. And this is a lot of work. It's a nice process of learning. But there's also, for example, at the first year when we had planted the olive trees, suddenly all the leaves were like not existing anymore. We said, what's going on? There's nothing. We don't see anything, no beetle, nothing. What's going on? And then we asked APAEMA, this association of the ecologic farmers, and they said, yes, this is the domidores. These are beetles, and they're sleeping during the day in the earth, and during the night they're climbing up and they're eating the leaves. And we said, oh, what can we do? And they said, yeah, easy way. You take wool from the sheep, and you wrap it around
the bark of the tree.
Easy. But if you have 400 trees, it's a nice work to wrap around every bark. So this is something of the learning process. How can we do it? How can we manage it? And
so I have to ask you, Katja, are you living your joy?
Yes, I think it is what we wanted to have. I think I was for a long time also in Germany in between of farming and doing theater and film, because theater and film is you're often in dark rooms looking to artificial light, you know, having a lot of discussions about words and colors and costumes. And at some point in my life, I was missing the natural light and the nature and the flowers and the horses. And so it was a process of having both. And the last years, I was also working as a stage designer and a director beside creating the farm. And this is the first year where I said, no, I just make a break from the theater and dedicate this
to Can Cavall Blau.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm really interested, because it is such a transition, but you're doing it, I think, in a very wholehearted way.
Yes, I would say it's, you know, when I'm at the farm and you see the horses wandering around and you have the view of the Tramontana, which was the
backdrop. That's your stage backdrop.
That's the stage. That's my stage now. And so having the tastings there, having the people there from all over the world when they're coming to our Amaro hour, we have really local people. We have people from everywhere, mostly residents, but sometimes also people who found us somewhere on your page or something, you know. And then they are talking, and there's an atmosphere of very, very interesting people, and it's very relaxed, and I love this. This is something what I always wanted to create, bringing people together.
Community. And connecting people.
Yeah.
And you're a natural at it, actually. I think it's very easy for you. Some people, I think if you don't have this feeling of hospitality and getting people together, it's actually a strain to do it.
Yeah.
But if it's a natural ability, then I think it just flows, and you're in your joy when you do this.
You say this because you are.
Well, I find it very easy to do that, but I know some people, it's their worst nightmare. They, you know, so we're all different. So in that sense, are you sort of living that dream life where you get, you know, you're using your brain to figure out, how do I run this business? How do I make it, my farm, sustainable, both from, you know, earning a living from that, but also taking care of the land and, you know, building your community. But I think the business side of it has to be very important also.
Absolutely. And that's something, you know, very, very often the people come to the farm and say, oh, you're living my dream. And I always say, yes, but look at my hands, you know, it's a lot of work, and it's every day, you know, that if you're working in the agricultural farm, there's always something, you know, there's always a pump breaking, animal is ill, there's whatever, the water system, it doesn't work.
It's not like, oh, I'm going on my holidays now for 2 weeks and so, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. So this is the reality. A lot of people don't know anymore because they're living in big cities and they have no connection to the real nature. They have a picture perhaps from nice coffee table books or from magazines, how it should be sitting with a cup of café con leche in the sun.
But it's everything that goes behind that.
Yeah, and this is something we also try to communicate to the people. And there was one of our guests, I think 2 weeks ago, he was from the US, I think. And he came to me and said, you know, I love it here because it's so real. It's so real. You are real. Everything is real. It's not made for us. It's real. And that's what we always say. It's a real farm. There's machines. There's not everything is proper and beautiful. No, it's just a working place.
It's practical.
You know? So I would say I live my dream, but we are super happy if Amaro goes through the world and everybody's drinking it to support the farm, because this is the link where every bottle supports that we can have sometimes a vacation.
So that's what I want to get to next. Is it sustainable financially to do it?
I think it's a process, you know, and you have to be aware that this is not happening in half a year, 1 year. You're building up a farm like this. It's also an interesting thought. When we started to ask for permissions for a building, our agricultural engineer said, no, perhaps first plant the trees. And we said, what? Normally you build first the house and then you do the garden. He said, no, but you need the trees to get the fruits. So during the time when you're waiting for a permission for the house, the trees are already there and they can grow. And that
makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense. And it's completely different than building a house and doing afterwards the garden, you know. So this was a very good advice to say, if you want to do something with plants, first do the plants and then start thinking about all the things of permissions for the house and blah, blah, blah. So I think this is an advice I would always give to the people who want to do something from the business side. Just look first and don't do a plan on the paper. So just listen to the people, what they say to you here. And
so how long are you talking about from when you start a project like what you're doing until it becomes financially viable?
I think this depends a little bit on the project, but we started the project as a business, I would say 3 years ago, but with a very slow production of Amaro. It was just a try if it works. So, and we opened the farm for the public for the Sundays end of July last year. So it's very young, so that we are growing, you know, that this is a very young project. Even if we bought the farm 8 years ago, we planted the trees 4 years ago. So it's not that we planted them 8 years ago, because at the beginning it was just a private place for the horses. So that's what I said, it's a long journey, from buying the plot, looking what's there, and then inventing the idea what we could do and develop it, and then open the farm for the tasting last year. So that's the journey. And I think if you want to do it properly, you have to give yourself some time to do this. So
it's like a 5 year in the short term and to a 10-year perspective, really, to build it up. And I think with wine, I don't know anything about wine production, but I guess it's quite similar. No, it's not that you can buy, because there's so many bodegas on the island now, and you really wonder if it's sustainable and how long people need to think about, before they plant, and then the production, and then getting it out to market, and then finding it's a really long process.
Yeah, it's a process, and the first 3 years the grapes are just growing. You don't have any harvest, so then comes the first harvest, and the grapes are still young. So we are happy with our wines. We just had the second harvest last year, and the wines from last year are half sold out, and the first wines are all sold out very quickly. So, but it's a very small production. It's not thousands of bottles. The maximum we can ever produce is 4,000 bottles when the vineyard is really, packed with grapes. And so it's very small, and the people love it at the farm. They buy it there, taste it there, and buy it directly. And
so what I love about your concept, though, everything is grown there. The people come there, they try. It's a whole experience, right? It's not like you go to a supermarket and you buy something and you don't know the whole story behind it. It's like with your project, you live it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you sit in front of the grapes of the wine you are drinking, and the horses, who are a big part of the farm, of the name as well. Can Cavall Blau is the name of the farm. And so this is also a bridge between art and farm and horses, because there's this very famous German painter, Franz Marc, who did the painting Die blauen Pferde, and Blau is the word bridge in between German and Mallorquin. That's why we have this Blau. It's the same word. And so the horses are a big part as an agricultural part, but also the artistic part of me, I think, is a big part, because a lot of people who came first as guests were colleagues and people from the artwork, and then they invited more people, and then they connected with the polo players. So this is the crowd which started all the project and started coming to the farm.
Brilliant. It sounds like such a beautiful project. I really look forward to going there and trying it. So I want to ask you now about the business side, because, I have over 20 years experience of running a business in Mallorca, and I know it can be challenging. And certainly when it's a little bit dependent on licenses and all these kind of things. What is the whole business side of it been like for you?
I think it's a really complicated process, and also this takes time. We were just waiting for 2.5 years to renovate our terrace. So you cannot even do it. You have to ask for permissions, and especially in the countryside, the permissions are not easy to get, because there's a lot of regulations you have to, and I think I can also understand it that it's like this, because otherwise everywhere would have been houses. And so I have a kind of understanding that these regulations exist,
and they're necessary.
They are super necessary, and we are farmers, but we had to prove that we are farmers, So if you want to build a house in this plot we are having, there's two options. One option is you have only one house and you destroy all the other buildings which are already there, or you have to be like agricultores preferentes, which means that you are a farmer and you prove a certain amount of money that you get from your sales. And also you have to prove a certain amount of work units that you do at the farm, and every plant has these called UTAs, where you prove that you take care of the plant, so that you are a real farmer. And this is the first step you have to do if you want to do a renovation at a plot like ours, where we had 3 buildings at the beginning, very small ones. But if you want to renovate them, you have to prove first this whole process of being agricultura preferentes. So what I would say is that if you want to have a business in the countryside, perhaps always, it's a lot of paperwork, and it's a lot of things where you have to research and to talk to the people, listen to experiences, and have the best people at your side to
Who
give
helped
advice.
you? Who was able to help you?
For the farming and for the whole process of this was an agricultural engineer who has a lot of experience in building up bodegas or farms here on the island. And so he gave us advice how to do this. But it's not done with engaging somebody and say, okay, you do it for me. No, you have to go into the topic and just read it and figure out what options
I guess you can
have.
buy a farm, a finca that's already with all this paperwork, but you were obviously in a process of converting it into a farm.
Yes, yeah, for sure. If it's already an agricultural farm and then you have all these permissions and it's ready, reconstructed, no problem. But it was abandoned. So there was these houses who were not in use anymore, and some of them were not legal. Now everything is legalized, but all these processes are taking time. Yeah.
And did you build new, or you just took the buildings that were there and renovated?
So what we did till now, and where we asked permissions for, was to renovate the buildings who were there. And the very exciting project we are having is for the future, or we are in it already, is there's a ruin at the farm of a little house. And we are working together with some architects from Palma, from Mallorquin architects. They are called outlets, and I can deeply recommend them because they are amazing. And we want to renovate and extend the building with the earth and the stones of the farm. So it will be a building out of the farm, and a very sustainable building, and that's the future.
That's beautiful. And what will you do with that building?
Pardon?
What will you do with that building?
This will be where we live, because actually we are not living at the farm. We are still living in the vacation house, which is 5 minutes away. So we are always going back, forward.
And you would like to live there?
And the best would be is to have a private place there, and with the horses and everything to be permanently there. Yeah. But now we're not living on the farm.
Super. It's really interesting. So for somebody who was planning to move to Mallorca, what advice would you give them if they were also dreaming to have a lifestyle like what you have, a business and lifestyle?
I would say learn Spanish. That's the first step.
I agree, totally.
Absolutely. And I would also say to know Mallorquin is very helpful if you want to.
It's not necessary though, because it does come up a lot about people. It's a really nice to have.
Yes.
But if you speak
Spanish,
properly, it's actually more than enough.
Yeah. That's what would I say. But it's nice if you want to connect to the community in the pueblos. Yeah,
if you're really great at languages, or you already speak Spanish and you want to then go into the Mallorquin, it's so wonderful. There's nothing nicer here. Yeah. But I just don't want to frighten people that they might want to think, oh my God, I don't have to learn just one language, I have to learn two. You don't. But the kids do, actually, if they go to local schools here, because they learn both, which is great.
Yeah, and also this is something where you say the kids go, my son, when I said before, when he came, he didn't speak any of these languages. Now he's speaking all of them fluently without sitting there over learning them. They get it.
It's naturally,
And that's amazing, because I think if you speak Spanish, German and English fluently, it's amazing.
The island is your oyster, because you can do everything. Yeah. You can do everything. Your son, is he still attending the Montessori school in Santa Maria? And how has he adapted from moving from Germany to here? And now it's 8 years, so you have a lot of time.
It's funny, because sometimes he's missing something from Germany. And now actually he's in Germany to do an internship at a hospital in Berlin. So
how old is he now?
14. Yeah, so 14. And he wanted to look in another world than horses, winemaking, theater. He went a lot with me to the theater productions and was very excited about. But now he wanted to do something super different and goes 2 weeks works in a hospital in Germany. So sometimes he's missing some things, very simple things, as you said, the forest, for example, the dark forest of Germany, it's not existing here. Or the cold, sometimes he wants to have some snow. But I think the advantages of growing here, perhaps you realize them a bit later, because he doesn't realize that it's a gift to have all these languages. He just speaks them. It's just normal, you know. He doesn't realize that's a gift to have the mountains, the sea. He's sailing a lot, and so it's, as a kid you take as it is, and it's nice, but you don't see that, you know, when you look back. Say,
no,
wow.
I have exactly this experience because my daughter is 19 now, and since she went away, left the island to study, oh my gosh, when she comes back here now, she's like, oh, I appreciate everything. It's so, because it's like you say, they grow up with it and it's their home, so they don't know any different. But when they move off the island, and then they start to appreciate the lifestyle here.
Yes, and I think there's something which is, I think, very interesting also for the business part, that there's a generation of people, they are now like 35, between 40, they raised up here and they went to study somewhere else in the rest of the world, built up their first experiences in business, and now came back to build up business here. There's a lot of graphic designers, there's designers in general, there's the 2 film festivals, which are great, absolutely growing. There's some little startup like bakeries, Uku Bakery,
Beautiful.
There's a lot of things going on, which is not only connected to tourism. It's just, Palma is amazing, and it changed a lot, and also this is a positive thing. I think that
it's really positive, and this is exactly what we try to cover a lot in the Slow Living magazine, for example, are all these stories of all these innovative businesses that are sprouting on the island, and it's really to support them because it adds so much to the experience of Mallorca, exactly like what you're doing. You've created something which is, it didn't exist before, and it's a new experience. And if people want to have this farm experience, they can go for dinner, right, at your place on a Wednesday, or enjoy the Polo on a Sunday. So I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and I'm so happy that you could come and talk to us today about it. Before you go, I want to ask you some of our quick fire questions, and in your case I'll be very interested to hear the answers because it might be a little bit different. So if you're thinking beach or mountain, which would you prefer?
Oh, in between beach, the view to the mountain, I would say.
Really? Yeah. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Okay. Summer heat or winter calm?
Winter calm.
Yeah, it's funny when we ask that in the heat in summer, people say, no, I want the cold. Siesta or fiesta?
This is a difficult one, really difficult.
You like both, right?
Yeah, I think a nice fiesta, you know, with a siesta afterwards.
Sounds good. Pamboli or ensamada?
I'm more on the salty side, so Pamboli.
And North Coast or South Coast?
North Coast. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Katja, for being here with us. And I wish you a lot of continued success in what you're doing. And I encourage anybody who hasn't visited yet your farm, Can Cavall Blau, to look up your website, check it out, and book one of your events and have an amazing experience.
Thank you so much for having me and having this wonderful talk. And, I can give all the things back because what you have built it up is amazing and brought me to a lot of things here on the island.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Continued success. Thank you very much. If you're dreaming of making Mallorca your home, let me invite you to use our property buyers agency service. With our service and our help, we can guide you to the right location that fits with your lifestyle. We'll also help you find the perfect home that fits with your dream. Contact us today for an online consultation or book an appointment and come and see us in Palma. We would love to help you make your transition to Mallorca a reality.